All right, guys. Well, this is a special treat. This guy is a former UFC and Strikeforce champion, one of our favorite guys to talk to on the program. Luke Rockhold, welcome back to Submission Radio. And this is a pretty cool view as well. Luke Rockhold sort of cruising the streets. Whereabouts are you cruising right now, Luke? Where are you located right now?
I'm going to have some dinner.
Oh, dinner. Oh,
joining my friends for dinner.
very nice, very nice. Awesome. Well, look, we really appreciate you jumping on the show, especially while you're on the way to dinner. And during this difficult period, obviously it's been a number of days since the news broke that you officially had to withdraw from UFC 230 and the fight against Chris Weidman. Tell us, how you doing, man? It must be incredibly tough at this time.
It was a tough one to accept, but that's why you have a coaching staff and good people around you to kind of guide you in the right way, man. I did not want to accept this fight going away. I wanted it, every fucking inch of it. And so I tried everything I could, but unfortunately, it's just too much to work around. I got to be able to walk into Madison Square Garden. I can't crawl.
Yeah, okay, so let's break this down because when Ariel reported this, he said there were a number of issues, a number of injuries that you were sort of dealing with. Can you sort of break down to us the sort of timeline of things that went wrong in this training camp?
So, man, it was the leg injury has been a fucking nightmare, a complete nightmare. It was a misinformed surgery. Unfortunately, I was misguided by a couple doctors and I wouldn't say malpractice, but it was a pretty idiotic move to open me up on the blade of my shin where they did, and everything I've learned thus far. It seemed like a superficial surgery, and that's why I went ahead with it, and sure enough, it's been one of the worst things I've ever dealt with in my life. So I really can't make any contact with it. It's on the blade of my shin, and it's such a, it's like I was in jeopardy of so many things with this leg, and it's repercussions if I were to go out there and this thing open up and the infection get to the bone. It's just not worth it. I was working around. I didn't kick the whole camp. I didn't use my left leg to kick, and so unfortunately, after Vegas, I got an infection on the way back home, something, and then as I thought the leg was doing better and it would be ready to go, and it backtracked and opened up, and then it was in jeopardy again. It was red, it was inflamed, and it was dangerous because it's the skin has to build up. So anyway, I'm trying to heal that up, and I broke my nose in a grappling exchange. I got caught with a wild elbow. And so I was working around both those, man. It was just too many things, and then come on top of that, I'm switching my stance to work with that and sparring with a cage around my face, and ended up spraining my knee, trying to force that. So I think it was a sign in the end, and I wanted to work around every angle I could, but this is that was it. That was the last straw, and the coach have been trying to push me out of this fight for some time, and come the sprained knee, it was a sign. I don't think it's much of anything. It's going to be 2-3 weeks, but for the knee, but everything else needs significant time to heal.
So leading into the sprain, do you think if it didn't happen, there's a good chance you'd still be fighting on basically one leg and a broken nose next weekend? If that sprain didn't happen, do you think you would have still fought?
That was the plan.
Wow. So your coaches during this whole time were trying to get you to pull out. What was it about the sprain that finally let you accept what they were sort of telling you? And sort of what went through your mind when that sprain happened? I mean, it seems like you were fighting pretty hard all these weeks to make it to this fight. Was it just the straw that broke the camel's back? Tell us about mentally what was going through your mind when you got that sprain.
I couldn't walk for 3 days.
Wow.
So, limping around and not being able to train, it was pretty much it. I couldn't use my left leg. I couldn't engage with my fucking nose, and I couldn't walk. So
Wow.
between the three of them, I think it was a pretty obvious choice. I needed to make a call.
Yeah, and especially how you mentioned the potential repercussions of fighting, and going through with that leg, and you mentioning you not throwing any left leg kicks, which is crazy because it's one of your biggest weapons. Don't want to bum you out here, Luke, but obviously there have been tough times in your career. We remember you were supposed to fight over in Melbourne a few years ago against Jacare in a rematch. That was a sort of tough time in your life. And sort of looking at this one, we know you wanted to fight Chris, MSG. Not only that, fighting on the same card as DC, that would have been really special. Is it sort of, would you say this is probably one of the most, if not the most difficult fight withdrawals that you've sort of had to experience of your career?
Yeah, this one sucked. I did not. I didn't want to let this one go. I knew I could. I beat Chris Weidman on one leg last time. I was ready to do it again. I know Chris well, and I know his game, and I know it took a lot. It took a lot to step back from this fight. I gotta tell you that. But I gotta honor myself in this game and go forward with what I have. So there's a number of things I need to recorrect, and I gotta get my body right early on in camp. If I want to do this thing in middleweight, I gotta stress of making weight later in camp is taking its toll on my body, and I gotta keep stay strong there, and if not, if also I can jump back and forth pretty. We'll see what happens. There's quite a few fights in the next couple weeks, so I'm sure we'll be able to make a judgment call here soon.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because I know you told us that it took quite a bit for you to go back down to middleweight. It took Madison Square Garden, right? And it took the fight with Chris Weidman. Now Weidman is fighting Jacare, and who knows what the next sort of fight that would be offered to you in middleweight would be. What do you think it would take you to go back down to middleweight? Would it be a special set of circumstances yet again?
It's a big. I don't know. It's a fight. A fight's a fight. I've got my mind kind of set on it, but I can get straight if something presents itself. We'll see what comes out. I mean, Jacare and Chris Weidman, I beat the breaks off both of them. We'll see who comes up on top and where they fall. I think Weidman's going to bitch and complain and wait around for a title fight again, like he's been talking, like he deserves when he's won in his last 4 fights or something like that. So,
if Jacare beats Weidman here, would you still be interested in going back down to middleweight and possibly fighting Jacare instead of Weidman?
I wouldn't mind it. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But if Jacare beats him, I just don't. I don't know. We'll see. Jacare seemingly is he's a little stiffer, a little slower these days, but he's still powerful. You could catch him, but he seems a bit slower. So I don't know what to expect from Weidman. He looked good in his last fight, but hit or miss. I think when he's out there, he's always tough, but he doesn't adjust well. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Just to clarify, Luke, so timeline-wise, I know it's early days. When roughly do you think it will be likely that we'd see you return? I'm assuming sometime early next year?
Next year? We'll see, man. I'm in shape. I don't want to lose it. I've done so much to get to this point, and so I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna honor my body. I'm gonna be beyond my diet and take care of my body, cross train, and I just gotta avoid contact. No contact with the leg. We're gonna go week by week, but assuming it's gonna have at least a month they want of no contact, and that's the same for my nose really, and it's not gonna hurt my knee either. So I think a month between all these things, if I'd really just focus and not set myself back, I should be back in the heat of things. And so I think there's a chance if something plays out, December 29th is not a bad idea. And,
oh, wow.
And then I know there's a big card come the beginning of the year. There's a big card, I believe, on ESPN, something like that back in New York. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But I'll be on my game. I'll be doing my thing, and I'm not looking to take much time off. I'm trying to just get through this leg, and like I said, I gotta really let this thing heal, and is when I know I can trust this thing and kick with it and train with it, then I can start a training camp and commit to a fight.
The December 29th card, that's especially an interesting one because that one's headlined by Jon Jones and Alexander Gustafsson. Is that a card that you're sort of looking at? Because if you do choose to go to light heavyweight, it could be a good idea to sort of co-main event under those guys.
I like the way your mind works.
Just tell Chris Cyborg and Amanda Nunes, hey guys, step aside. Someone's coming. Someone's coming at 205. But is that kind of part of the motivation for you to sort of, be on that same card as Jon Jones, make a statement?
We'll see what happens in the next couple weeks. There's a couple fights, and so we'll see where I stray. I think it depends on everything else. It depends on Madison Square Garden, and eventually, so we'll see. There's other fights in line, so make it sexy, baby. Come on.
Yeah, well, I think another aspect of it is you're sort of probably waiting to see if Daniel Cormier is legitimately stripped of his light heavyweight title or not, because from what we understand, if he loses this fight next weekend, apparently he might still be holding on to that light heavyweight title. Is that one of the sort of factors as well that you're looking to look at to see what eventually does happen with Daniel before you move up to the division?
DC is not losing next week, and DC is not coming back to light heavyweight. Plain and simple.
So it's official, because I feel like this is the clarity that we've been waiting for. We all sort of suspected it, right from Luke Rockhold. No 205.
Hey, I know DC better than he knows himself sometimes.
Yeah.
He's not coming back to light heavyweight. I'm not going to let him. He's a better heavyweight. He's always been a better heavyweight. Yeah, heavyweights, they're not athletes. They rely on their power, and DC with his size and his athleticism, he can dominate. There's a very few heavyweight. There's a couple heavyweights at the top that are technical, that are good. How many heavyweights can be a contender, a top contender in the world off, that have been born into martial arts and training and wrestling? I mean, every other sport, every other division in the world, has to have a lifelong practice. There's heavyweights that are contenders off 5 years of training. It's DC will neutralize, and he'll own that division for now, for the time being.
He's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, not only as an athlete, but just skill set wise, and when you factor in his age, he's phenomenal. What would you rather see him next? What would you let him do, Luke? Would you rather see him do the Lesnar fight or the Jon Jones 3 fight, potentially at heavyweight? Because it seems like the UFC wanted to do potentially Jones Cormier 3, but they both wanted to do it at 205.
If DC fights Jones, he's doing it at heavyweight. I've already told him that.
Yeah.
That's where it needs to happen. I think that's where everyone wants to see it happen. So that's where it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you something, because there's a few questions around DC and sort of how he is going into this fight next weekend. Obviously, we know Derek Lewis took a massive beating at UFC 229. You and us were all there. We saw the fight. With Daniel, there were rumors of potentially some kind of hand injury and him not getting a proper training camp going into this fight. What kind of Daniel Cormier do you believe we'll see come next weekend?
You're going to see the best of Daniel Cormier. He's going to be on his game. I can't speak for Derek Lewis, but I know DC's going to be in shape and he's going to be ready. He's not taking anything lightly. He's going to train like he always trains, but we'll see how it all plays out. But it's a good fight. We'll see. Derek Lewis is a tough bastard, but he's dealing with a different kind of athlete. He's not, DC is so much faster than those guys. I don't think Derek can find him in any way. So we'll see. We'll see if he can get up.
It's crazy. It's crazy the way Derek Lewis just sort of comes back and has these insane comeback wins. Just quickly, because the last time we saw you, you were there. You told us you were wearing all black. Conor McGregor's funeral. We saw you in 229, and then later that night, the craziness happened. Didn't get a chance to speak to you afterwards, but just from your perspective, what do you remember from that night and everything that transpired after Khabib beat Conor McGregor and defended the belt?
I remember a great fight.
Mm.
And another fight to follow. Yeah, I mean, you guys all saw it for yourselves. It ain't any different than how I saw it. So I think people blow out of proportion what Khabib did, and Conor gets away with everything. So I mean, he's slick, and you know, Khabib and the boys are a bit lost in translation, but you have to respect them, their religion, their everything. The promotion went overboard, and Khabib's the champ, man, and he handled his business. You know, he got even by some means.
Mm-hmm. If you had to sort of look at what was next for him, would you like to see a rematch between him and Conor, or this Tony Ferguson fight? Because this is the big debate going on right now. Which fight is more exciting for people to see?
I'll let Khabib make his decision and go ahead with his paycheck. So we'll see. We'll see how it all works out. I don't think it was that close. I think Tony's proved himself to be up there, so we'll see. Both are somewhat intriguing.
I think that Tony Ferguson fight, oh my God, we need to see that at some point. For the MMA guys, they could just...
Tony's Tony's well. Maybe, how about Tony and Conor too?
Yeah.
Well, it seems like he's open to it after his latest social media post. Just quickly, Luke, we know you're off the card, but obviously Madison Square Garden and your best friend is fighting in the main event. Are you still planning to go to New York next weekend and support DC and sort of be there to see this Chris Weidman, Jacare fight in person?
There's a good chance.
Has the outfit been picked out? Got to ask that, because last time when DC fought Lesnar, I think there were two big stories: DC versus Lesnar and Luke Rockhold's outfit.
You know, well, we are in New York, so if I do show up, we'll see. That is Ralph Lauren territory, so
exactly.
I have to step up my game. No, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all goes. I don't know if I'm going to make it out, but I expect a short night at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, there you go. First round potentially, DC versus Derek.
I think it's if not the first, the second. You know.
Well, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting, Luke. We'll be there. If you're going to be there, don't dress too nice. Please don't outstage us. Can't have that happening again. But we'll let you go. Obviously, you're on the way to dinner. We see it's a blue sky, man. So things are looking good. Obviously, guys, make sure to follow Luke on Twitter at Luke Rockhold. We wish you a speedy recovery and also get behind one of Luke's companies. It actually made CNBC's most promising 100 startups list, which is a fantastic achievement. You can follow it at Opkix. OPKIX. They are the makers of the smaller and most powerful little camera. We had a look at it recently. I'm very excited about that. So, Luke, in this tough time, I really appreciate jumping on the show and chatting with us. Always fun. Always appreciate it.
Check it out. Opkix. I'm going to take over the GoPro world. It's another level. Another level. Promise you that. Keep your eyes peeled. Opkix is going to take over.
Thank you so much again, Luke. Really appreciate it. Enjoy your dinner.
Cheers.